Last year's controversial election of President Donald Trump sparked public outcry among millions of Americans. I took a closer look at one of the largest movements in the country, the Women's March. After Trump's election, many Americans flocked to social media where the Women's March was eventually organized and gained massive popularity. To gain a stronger perspective and raise a question or two about the march, I took a trip to the University at Albany and spoke to a feminist advocate and student, Julia Whitworth, who has studied feminism and psychology. The interesting thing to me is that over 50% of the white female voters voted for Trump. Yet now there seems to be this huge backlash against him. So what are your feelings as a pro-feminist about the whole divide between the women demographic?
I guess I would say that it's very frustrating. As a white woman in particular, it's uncomfortable, you know, to see that people aren't able to acknowledge the privilege that they have, and I think that it all comes down to privilege and oppression. And something that is important to me in feminism is intersectionality, and I feel like with the Women's March, a lot of the white women marching honestly may not have been completely in tune to, like, I guess the different issues that that women of color were there fighting for.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is probably the best option for young women like yourself to kind of do against this issue?
I would say that one of the most important things is to just be educated about the issues and about feminism in general, and just know that it's more than just rights for all women. It's rights for women of color and rights for women that are trans and women that are often ignored in they I guess fall between the cracks in our society, and like white women are easily able to ignore their issues because they're not issues that affect them, and because white women are so much the majority and like always have been like the face of like feminism. That's something to me that needs to change.
Regardless of race or gender, the Women's March represents inevitable social change, and awareness is needed from all Americans. Protesters are planning to conduct different events in the future. Jude Costigan, The Green and the Gold.
When you walk outside the Mac and the Ark, things will seem just as normal as ever. However, a quick look inside, you will see the multi-million-dollar renovations that are being made.
Take it to the hole. Oh.
Ever since joining the Ark in 1992, the MAC has always been a place for students and athletes alike to come together for their everyday workout activities. However, in the fall of 2018, both the Ark and the MAC will be getting a much-needed facelift, costing the school around $13.5 million. This news has excited all students, even those graduating this year.
We actually got a new locker room last year. It's really nice. The Ark has changed a lot, not that we use it that much, but I think overall it's been pretty nice. They're expanding the training room as well as the weight room. I've been in the weight room a lot, so I'm excited to see what they're going to change, not that it's going to affect me. And the training room expanding will help with how many athletes are in there all the time.
Renovations began back in 2015, adding new equipment not only to the athletes' weight room, but also giving equipment to students looking to get a nice pump on before class. They've also added such things as a new practice court for the basketball team, new bleachers for the women's basketball and volleyball games, and also a new scoreboard in the Ark. A lot of work has already been put into this project so far, but there's still much to be done before we could see those bland walls turn into those bright and green ones that many of us love.
With a little over a year and a half left to go on construction, students who frequently use the building are very excited for the final outcome of the MAC and the Ark. For SCTV, I'm Dan Gio.
One of the most important aspects of college life is the food. With the accessibility of the townhouse kitchens, students have the liberty to cook whatever they are craving.
Hello and welcome Siena College. My name is Matthew Jansen. This is Kitchen Walk-In. Today we'll be going to different townhouse residents, check in with students, see what they got whipping up inside their kitchen. Maybe get a free meal out of it, we'll see. Come on with me, let's go get cooking. With you. What do you got cooking?
Here we have chicken, cream of chicken on top of that, mozzarella cheese sprinkled with an entire box of stuffing, with chicken and 2 types of teriyaki sauce.
We got some DiGiorno pizza from the C-store, supreme pizza. It's got some sausage, peppers, I want to say pepperoni, bacon, some pasta.
Pasta with what?
It's going to be chicken, bacon, Alfredo.
How often do you cook in general?
Weekends?
This is actually my first time.
Like once or twice a day, not too much. Not the best cook, so I keep it.
Mostly frozen food?
Yeah, mostly frozen. Yeah.
What's your favorite frozen food?
Probably DiGiorno pizza, meat lovers, or meat lover supreme, actually.
I would say mozzarella sticks are a lot better than this.
One way to describe your cooking.
Yeah, not bad. 2 words, but
One where mediocre. I'd say I'm not the best cook. I can only make about 1-2 meals.
I'd say convenient.
Convenient. Why is convenient?
Because I like cooking with crock pots a lot.
One word to describe Sienna's cooking.
Garbage.
For all your Sienna Taste Bud news, I'm Matthew Jansen, the green, the gold.
College libraries have always been a resource for students needing books or journal articles for class. But with ebooks becoming more popular with young people, there could be less need than ever before for physical books on campuses.
Siena College's Standish Library may be a popular study spot for students, but what about the library's ample supply of books, from extensive magazines to contemporary hits? With access to several research databases and the college's own catalog system, students should find themselves covered for any projects or papers. However, according to a study by Inside Higher Ed, many academic libraries have reported that in today's tech-savvy age, students have less need for any kind of physical books, even though, as of last May, printed book sales were rising. But how do Siena students feel about using real books?
I'll probably always try to use the regular book, even if it does cost more, because I just like to be able to write in it and feel it, and I feel like turning pages makes me feel more accomplished than clicking through something.
As much as people say that's the way we're going, paperless and such, I don't think that will ever entirely overtake it. People who enjoy books, they enjoy the story, but there's a weird romanticism to the whole thing of having a nicely bound book.
But what did the experts say?
Percentage of people who prefer ebooks over the people who prefer print books, that percentage isn't going to change anymore. The ebooks aren't going up any higher and the print books aren't going any lower. So it depends on the use for the book.
Librarian Catherine Cronin says that for now, there could be a place for both. No matter what the studies may show, one thing's for sure. At Siena, physical books won't go to waste.
Students can visit the Standish Library to meet with a librarian and find out more about what the library has to offer. Kristen Perrone, the green and the gold.
Club Fair is an amazing experience. Learning and meeting new people are only the first steps to having a successful year at Siena College.
Siena kicked off its annual Club Fair. Many clubs around Siena did their best job to make their club stand out the most. Club Fair is a great time for students to come out their shell and be a part of something that they feel may be special.
Siena College Club Fair is a great opportunity for students. It gives Siena students the opportunity to see what clubs are out there and also meet and greet new people.
Siena clubs can be more beneficial than just interacting with one another, but also gaining the connections that may lead to your career field, such as internships, jobs, and also learning how to be a leader in and out the classroom.
You can make connections academically, you can make connections through your friends and the peers that you work with, and a lot of times people will be able to get jobs after there, and being a leader or having a role within a club really helps build their resume and also helps build the skills you need to use them outside of the classroom.
Everyone should come out and join a club and be a part of a 4-year journey, because if you don't, you might look like this guy.
Students should attend the club fairs because it gives them a chance to actually see what's out there on campus. So, we know that school is all about academics, but school is also about learning about different cultures and learning about different people, and also getting to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. So the club fair is a great way for you to do that because you get to know what's out there.
Joining a club can only elevate your college experience. Ronnie Pinkerton Jr., green and the gold.
When 3 siblings come to Siena College together, they are known as a Siena legacy. Most legacies are very well known on campus. The 3 Sullivan sisters are currently at Siena College, and although going to school with your sisters sounds hard, they say it has only brought them closer together.
Rebecca Sullivan is a senior here at Siena College, but she shares this campus with her 2 younger sisters who have also made Siena their home. Rebecca, Erica, and Alyssa never meant to end up at the same school, but the younger sisters agreed that in the end it was their family ties that brought them to Siena.
Because she was here and I knew that she was doing all these amazing things and getting opportunities that I feel like she wouldn't have had at a bigger school.
I had nowhere else I felt comfortable, and I knew with having my sisters here, I already had some sort of connections. I had like a piece of home like at school with me, and that was really important to me.
How has being together affected their relationship? They all agreed. It has made them even stronger.
I think we're a lot closer. We were super close before, but I think going to school together made us a lot closer because literally, and I wrote this on their happy birthday post, we literally do not get one day apart from each other.
There's a lot of benefits to having each other's support each day. But what is the one thing they think would be different if they didn't have their sisters?
Positions I probably would not have applied to Saints, be a Saint if it wasn't for you encouraging me, and now she applied to be a Saint.
My GPA would have been a lot worse than it was.
I feel
they keep me on track a lot.
The younger Sullivan sisters look up to Rebecca for inspiration on how to get involved on campus, and their next big adventure together is a service trip to Nicaragua. But an adventure the sisters face every day is their diet. All three of them are vegan.
So we'll go to like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, buy our vegan foods, and then we'll come and cook it at my house. So I think
nights of dinner.
Yeah, and like there are things like we might need an oven or like a stove for, but if I didn't have the house, like if I didn't go here and it was just them two, they'd be stuck microwaving, whatever.
As Rebecca's time at Siena comes to an end, she says that having her sisters here has made her experience much better than she ever imagined.
Obviously, it's so sad that like this is my last year here and I'm graduating and I don't want to leave, but having them here made this year so great, and it's cool that in my last year of college, I could be with both of them. She talks to mom a lot.
Like 3 times a week.
Well, you should call your father.
The Sullivan sisters aren't the only siblings on campus. Meet one of the most famous legacies, the Murphy brothers, who say going to Siena is twice as fun when you get to experience it with your twin.
The Murphy twins are very well known, not only in the senior class, but all of Siena's campus. Andy and Brandon did everything together, but when it came time to pick a school, they were torn. Their older brother, Ryan Murphy, was a junior at Siena at the time, and that drew the twins to the campus. They agreed no other school felt right for them.
And the siblings that come here, then their younger siblings, they just want to come here because of the way that Siena treats you and the way that they help you out with anything that you want. I think the younger people see it and want to be a part of that when they go to college.
You combine being here with your siblings with being here with other family that you're going to make in 4 years. That's just all going to combine into a great experience.
Not only did they decide to come to school together, but the brothers decided to be roommates.
We've been living together for 22 years, and now next year we're not going to be living together. We're going to be doing something completely different. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that happens.
Yeah, I remember my internship in Richmond this summer. The first night I was there, I had nobody to eat with. And I always had Brandon to eat with. I was like, what am I supposed to do now? It was so different.
As kids, the twins had a plan to stay together even after college.
We used to want to live together.
We used to want to have a bridge to connect our houses.
Because we couldn't be without one another.
Rooms weren't the only thing the Murphys shared. They shared a term on the student senate. Andy was the president and Brandon was the chief of staff. They faced some challenges, but in the end, they said they were proud of their terms on senate.
A lot of late nights talking about ideas and how to budget things out, but since we have such that strong twin connection and we had such a great senate for a year, those challenges were easy, but they were fun at the same time, and I wouldn't change anything with senate.
When you put the suit and tie on, you're still twins, but then you're also co-workers and co-senators. So
there was a brief moment when the twins thought that they wanted to go to different colleges, but they agreed that if they went to school apart, they wouldn't have had as much fun as they did at Siena together.
And I felt like I was there for Andy, but Andy got to do his own thing and I got to do my own thing, and whenever we needed each other, we were there on the weekends, hanging out in the library, it would be a lot different.
I can flip it.
Are we filming?
Yes.
Can this section be in the movie?
Both families agreed that they never meant to end up at the same school, but they all ended up finding exactly what they needed here at Siena. Mackenzie Wolfson, The Green and the Gold.
Siena students have strong opinions when it comes to politics. With the Trump administration just getting started, the campus has a lot to say.
Early on in his presidency, Donald Trump has begun to make a number of executive orders and decisions that have sparked mass controversy across the United States. Staying true to his word, he has developed plans to construct a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border while establishing an executive order to carry out his policy of extreme vetting. This executive order initiated a travel ban which blocked the entrance of thousands of refugees from 7 predominantly Muslim countries into the United States. This immediately created problems across the country in major airports. Protests erupted, strikes started, and lawyers and government officials took legal action. Now the president's command is up for debate in appellate courts. Regardless, there are strong opinions on both sides, and in order to get an idea of what the Siena population thought about the matter, I visited Democrat and Republican club meetings on campus and spoke to the presidents of each club to hear their perspectives on President Trump's maneuvers. At the Democrats Club, I ran to Club President Corlin Ingraham.
I don't think it's right in the least bit. I think America is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and I think right now the brave are the ones who are out there protesting this ban. I think this issue is setting a precedent for the rest of the administration, or at least for this term, or at least for the rest of the 100 days, as far as people taking political action.
Just down the hall from the Democrat meeting, I caught up with Republican Club President Stella Pabus, who set her own opinion straight.
I personally just have a problem with the countries selected because what's been proven is that most of the people that do the most damage on our soil are actually from Saudi Arabia, and they're not listed. So I find this a little hypocritical. I think there's a huge First Amendment freedom of exercise and establishment clause issue at hand.
Of course, these opinions are not the only ones that exist on campus. Stella made mention that the Republican Club was in fact split 50-50 on the issue over the travel ban. What's important to remember is that as Americans, we all have a voice, and to not speak one's opinion is most un-American of all.
The effects of the Trump administration are not yet clear, but for our campus, it certainly makes for good debate. Jude Costigan, The Green and the Gold.
The Siena men's lacrosse team has always had a history of being one of the top teams in the MAC, but over the past few seasons, they haven't made it to the postseason. However, this year's team believes that they can get right back on track.
It's been almost 3 years since the Siena men's lacrosse team has seen postseason play. After a phenomenal year during the 2013-2014 season, making it all the way to the NCAA tournament, the Saints have seemed to lose their spark. Since being in the tournament, the Saints have put up back-to-back losing seasons, consisting of a 5-9 record and most recently a 3-10 record. Senior Joe Arcaries is one of those select few who was on the team during their run in 2013 and knows what it takes to get back to the tournament.
I think everybody wants to get back to that moment of being on top of our conference, so kind of having that in the back of our minds to motivate us, and we know what it takes to get there, so hopefully we just kind of pull it all together this year.
Along with the veteran presence that this team brings, a youthful bunch of rookies are also along for the ride.
I think the rookies have been great. You know, it's always fun having new faces in the locker room, and this class of kids can really play, so hopefully they can really bring it for us this year.
In order to make it back to postseason play, Joe stated that speed was a big change for the Saints this year.
We've just really focused more on playing fast this year and really pushing the pace, pushing the ball down the field, so hopefully it leads to more transition opportunities and goals for us.
The preseason projections have already come out, and according to InsideLacrosse.com, the Saints are projected to be tied for third with Monmouth, with no players making the all-conference team. The Saints are going to have to prove many people wrong in order to get back to where they were atop the MAC lacrosse elite.
The season opens February 11th against perennial powerhouse Syracuse. This will be the Saints' first opportunity to show that they can contest against the nation's best. For SCTV, I'm Dan Gio.
College students relish the moment when they are finally able to go home on break and get their first home-cooked dinner. At the Jansen House, it's all about a home-cooked breakfast. Coming home from college doesn't quite have the same implications at the Jansen household as they do for many others. Coming home to a small farm indicates breakfast will have to wait until the chickens have laid their eggs. For these 25 chickens, their daily feeding routine is vital in their production of 12 to 2 dozen eggs each day. Although it is not always the cleanest job in the morning, the eggs must be collected and washed before breakfast can be served. Once cleaned, the eggs can meet their kitchen counterpart, the frying pan. On this morning, we decided that our egg dish would be scrambled eggs.
The trick to good scrambled eggs is to whip the eggs up really, really well.
With a little cheese mixed into the whipped eggs, they are now ready for the pan.
Another special trick with making scrambled eggs is never let them sit still in the pan. Keep them moving.
After a few minutes on the pan, the eggs meet the plate where they are complemented with pepper on top and a cup of tea. Even with their love for eggs, one family can only eat so many before needing some neighborly help.
It'd be selfish of us not to offer our farm fresh eggs to our whole entire community. That's why here, at our egg stand,
we try to supply as many as their neighborhood may need. For the neighbors, a walk down the road to the end of the driveway is often quicker than going to the grocery store. For a small fee, neighbors are welcome to grab a carton and experience real farm fresh eggs.
Boy, are they good farm fresh eggs.
They don't call it the most important meal of the day for nothing. I'm Matthew Jansen, the green, the gold.
Hollywood is abuzz in its countdown to the biggest night, the Oscars. With films like La La Land and Manchester by the Sea up for nominations, we won't know what film walks away with the big prize until Monday. But what do Siena College students have to say about these flicks?
The weather outside is frightful, and even typical campus hotspots, like the Saracen Student Union, are uncommonly empty. What with the 89th Academy Award nominations out this past week, could Siena students have been out at the movies, catching up on all these favorite flicks?
It's not something I really care about, and it's also because when I'm in Siena, it's a whole different bubble, where I don't really pay attention to what's going on outside the world.
Some students may be in a bubble, but this year's nominations delivered what film buffs everywhere wanted: diversity. Following 2 years of all-white acting nominees at the Oscars, the 2017 roster includes 7 actors and 1 director of color.
It's important for more actors to get, minority actors get more recognition, because in the past it's only been white actors, and that's not representative of the population.
Beloved actors like Denzel Washington in Fences and Emma Stone in La La Land join newcomers such as Ruth Negga in Loving and Mahershala Ali in Moonlight in this year's acting categories. Besides the 7 first-time acting nominees, what would the Oscars be without Meryl Streep, who swept up her 20th Oscar nomination for Florence Foster Jenkins? This unique group of stars is just one reason why, for Siena students living outside of the bubble, today's movies are still important enough for them to take notice.
I think the arts have a great potential to elaborate on a lot of topics that are important in our society and our world today. And I think it's important for kids and the younger generation to understand that what they want to do later in life can be attained.
As for predictions for the big night,
I really liked Manchester by the Sea just because it's a movie that is more real.
Casey Affleck, Best Actor, hands down.
they'll have to wait until February 26th for the results and a ceremony hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. But until then, there's plenty of time for that bubble to burst and even more students to discover the power of film.
With just a week to go until the Academy Awards, students have spring break to catch up on any nominated films they may have missed. Kristen Perrone, The Green and the Golds.
Seniors are approaching graduation, and the pressure of the real world is only the beginning of the journey.
Senior year is here, the time of the year when stress kicks in as seniors prepare to think about what their plans are after they graduate.
It hasn't really dawned on me yet that this is my last year because I have an extra year to go get my master's because I transferred from another school, but I am a little nervous because you just don't know what life is going to bring.
After graduation, I plan on starting my business. The name of my business is called Balance by Day. Here's my business card. The logo itself represents the connection between the mind, the body, and the soul.
As a senior, it is important to get ready for the real world. Practicing interviews and attending internships are only just a few steps to get closer to your career goal. Being a senior gets overwhelming. It's really hard to think about what you're going to do after you graduate college. That's why the Career Center is the best way to figure out your career goals.
I think what some seniors are worried about, of course, is the prospect of finding a job, and there are preparation steps to do that. So one is to have a good, solid resume. Another one would be to update and have a professional-looking digital footprint, like their LinkedIn profile.
The most memorable moment at Siena was the day I realized that I got accepted into studying abroad in Argentina. And it wasn't memorable because I was leaving, because I'm very grateful for being at Siena, but it is memorable because Siena offered me the opportunity to expand my education, especially outside of the country.
Senior year could be a stressful time of year, but also a bittersweet moment. Ronnie Pinkerton Jr., The Green and the Gold.